Okay, so have you ever just felt overwhelmed by like all the mental health stuff out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like everywhere you turn, there's another article or social media post or somebody sharing their like super personal story.
It's a lot to process, right?
For sure. And, it can be hard to know what to actually pay attention to.
Definitely.
So that's kind of what we're diving into today, right?
Yeah,
We're taking this proposed podcast outline on mental health, and we're pulling out the most fascinating and important bits for our listeners.
exactly. We're going to cut through the noise and, hopefully give you some of those aha moments where you're like, never thought of it that way before.
I love that. And just to be clear, this is a huge topic.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to do our best to make it approachable, interesting,
Yeah,
maybe even bust a few myths along the way.
definitely.
So before we get into like specific conditions and diagnoses and stuff, how do we even define mental health in the first place?
Right.
Because it's got to be more than just the absence of mental illness.
Absolutely. It's not just about saying, hey, I'm not diagnosed with anything, so I must be good.
Right, exactly.
Think of it like this mental health is kind of like the operating system of your brain.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Yeah, it impacts how you process emotions, how you cope with stress, how you build relationships, all that good stuff.
So it really is foundational.
Yeah,
It's not something separate from our everyday lives. It's like interwoven with everything.
exactly. And this is a big one. The World Health Organization estimates that nearly 2/3 of people with a known mental disorder
Wow.
never seek help
From a professional?
at all.
That's a staggering statistic.
It really is. And that's why talking openly about mental health is so crucial.
Yeah.
It helps chip away at that stigma that keeps people from getting the support they need.
So the more we normalize these conversations, the better for everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's dive into some specific conditions here, starting with anxiety.
Good one.
I think we can all relate to feeling anxious sometimes.
Right.
But where's that line between everyday worries and like a full-blown disorder?
That's a great question. And actually, the source material highlights a study that found people with generalized anxiety disorder
Okay.
are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop chronic physical health conditions,
Really?
like heart disease.
Wow.
So untreated anxiety isn't just an emotional issue, it impacts your physical health too.
That's huge. I never realized the connection was that strong.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about like pre-presentation jitters here.
No.
This is something that can seriously impact your life in multiple ways.
Absolutely.
And they're different like flavors of anxiety,
Yeah.
right? It's not all the same.
Right.
Like what are some of the variations?
Well, so that outline mentions panic disorder, where you experience these sudden, intense waves of fear,
Oh yeah,
almost like a heart attack.
that sounds terrifying.
It can be very scary.
Yeah.
Then you've got social anxiety, which is more than just disliking parties. It's an intense fear of being judged or humiliated in social situations, leading people to avoid them altogether.
So it can be really debilitating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, speaking of conditions that often get misunderstood, let's talk about depression.
Okay.
I feel like everyone throws that word around these days, But clinically, what does depression actually look like?
It's much more than just feeling sad.
Right.
And actually, the source material talks about this gut-brain connection,
Oh, interesting.
which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Apparently, the bacteria in our gut can actually send signals to our brain that impact our mood.
No way.
Yeah.
So the state of your gut health could actually play a role in depression.
It's wild, right?
That's amazing. I mean, we've all heard the phrase trust your gut, but
Right.
this takes it to a whole new level.
Totally new level.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts.
Yeah.
This is complex biology, chemistry, and apparently bacteria.
Exactly. And the outline points out that depression can manifest in different ways. You have major depressive disorder, which is what most people think of.
Yeah.
But there's also persistent depressive disorder, which is like a low-grade depression that lingers for years.
Okay, so again, it's not one size fits all.
Absolutely.
Okay, this next one I feel like always seems to get misrepresented in the media.
Mm-hmm.
Bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest myths that you see floating around out there about bipolar disorder?
Well, one of the biggest is that it's just extreme mood swings. Everyone experiences ups and downs.
Right.
But with bipolar disorder, those shifts are far more intense and disruptive.
So it's not just being moody, it's a whole different
Totally different,
ball game.
right? The outline mentions that during manic phases, someone might feel euphoric and invincible, like they can conquer the world. They might make impulsive decisions,
Oh, wow.
have racing thoughts, and barely sleep.
Okay.
Then that high crashes into a debilitating depressive episode.
That sounds incredibly challenging.
It is.
to navigate both for the individual and those around them.
Absolutely, which is why having a support system and seeking professional help is crucial.
Okay, last but certainly not least, let's talk about schizophrenia.
Okay.
What's the biggest misconception you encounter about this one?
Hands down, it's the idea that people with schizophrenia have multiple personalities.
Yeah, I feel like movies and TV shows have really messed with our understanding of that one.
Totally. The outline emphasizes that schizophrenia is about a disconnect between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Okay.
The source material actually compares it to a computer virus disrupting the flow of information in the brain.
That's a really interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
So it's not about different personalities. It's about this fundamental disruption in how the brain is processing information.
Precisely. And this can lead to hallucinations, delusions, and difficulty distinguishing between what's real and what's not.
Wow, this has been incredibly eye-opening.
Yeah.
And you know what it makes me think about? How important it is to seek help if you're struggling. It's not a sign of weakness, but rather a sign of strength and self-awareness.
Absolutely. And there are so many resources available, from therapy and support groups to online platforms and helplines.
So for our amazing listener out there, I hope this deep dive has given you a clearer picture of mental health, the diverse conditions that exist, and the fact that seeking help is not only okay, it's encouraged.
Yeah.
If there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that mental health is just as important as physical health.
I couldn't agree more. And I'd add that knowledge is power. The more we can break down stigma, support ourselves and others, and create a world where mental well-being is valued and prioritized.
That's beautifully said. And for you, dear listener, I'll leave you with this question. What resonated with you most today? And how might you apply this new understanding to your own life or to conversations with friends and family? Until next time, keep jiving deep and keep those conversations going.
I love it.